Welcome to our final lesson in Song Leading Basics, learning the basics of how to lead a congregation or choir in singing. This is lesson 6, the cutoff. Don't just stop a song, finish it. Well, there has to be a moment somewhere in there, if we're not just going to stop, but finish a song. There has to be a moment when everybody knows that we are done. But right there, I think we maybe discovered what it was. There needs to be a sharp change in direction that tells us, okay, here we are, finished. All right, how does that work? Well, in a final cutoff, it might look something like this. Pavilioned in splendor and girded with praise. Pretty simple. But then we also have to go between verses. So if it's not the final cutoff, how are we going to do that? Well, there are two basic ways you can transition from one verse to another. The first way is a long pause. And the second way is, you guessed it, a short pause. Let's look at the long pause first. Basically what the long pause does, it treats it almost as though it were the end of the song. Then you take a breath and you go in again. And so that would look something like this. Pavilioned in splendor and girded with praise. Oh, tell of his might, and so on. So you'll see, we stopped the song, took a breath, and went back in. Now, the second way, the short pause, actually has one gesture to finish the song and to initiate the breath. So your gesture that stops the verse also is the very same gesture that indicates that that breath is starting. And let me show you how that would look. Pavilioned in splendor and girded with praise. Oh, tell of his might, and so on. Now I'm going to do that one more time, but before I do, let me show you again. There's this gesture here that cuts it off, but at the same time, that gesture goes into a breath. Watch it one more time. Pavilioned in splendor and girded with praise. Oh, tell of... Now, as we discussed in a couple of lessons ago, the breath is probably one of the most important things there. So make sure that you practice it so that you get your breath intuitively happening right after the cutoff. And I think you will find that the congregation will follow you quite easily. Again, it's really important that you take time, practice these. Get in front of a mirror, look at what you're doing, and just spend the time to improve it. Your congregation will gradually, over time, learn to sing better as you learn to lead better. Thanks so much for joining us for Song Leading Basics. My name is Wendell Nisley, and I am the Executive Director of Shenandoah Christian Music Camp. We're delighted to be able to bring to you Song Leading Basics, learning the basics of how to lead a congregation or choir. And we're glad to be able to bring it to you free of charge. But of course, producing video series like this is not free at all. And if you're interested in helping to fund it, to keep this kind of content coming, we invite you to donate. You can go online to our website at www.musiccamp.info.